Check 1 2. 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 Well, good evening, hockey fans, and welcome to the Member 2 Sport and Wellness Center here on High Button Sport. My name is Luke Diamond, and we are in for a very good hockey game this evening between the Truro Bearcats and the Joneljim Cougars of North Sydney. We are here tonight in Member 2 rather than their usual Amera Center North Side home rink in North Sydney, as there is a big craft fair going on there this weekend. So here we are just about 20 minutes south here in eastern Cape Breton. It's a big game for both of these teams, only separated by a few points in the standings. The host Cougars are just slightly ahead in that tally so far. They sit tied for 7th in the Nova Scotia Under-15 Major Hockey League standings. The Truro Bearcats sitting in 9th, both in for doubleheaders this weekend. Both of those games for the Cougars here at home, or at least not far from home here in Cape Breton. And this begins a big weekend for both teams in this Nova Scotia Major Under-15 Hockey League matchup. It's a very busy weekend across the league as it is for many of the other leagues here in Nova Scotia this weekend. You can catch all that action here on High Button Sports. Now for the starting goaltenders, to your right, wearing the Truro Bearcats red and white, Blake Butcher gets the start. He's 2-3 on the season, 7th in the league with a 3.00 goals against average and a .893 save percentage. And starting for the host Cougars is Ryland Landry. He's trying to get back on the winning track here. He's 1-4 for his record here and a .435 goals against average. As we are underway from Member 2 here, the Joneljim Cougars playing a little bit away from home here this week. As mentioned, they usually play at the Amera Center North Side in North Sydney, about a 20-minute drive away here from Member 2. But it feels like a home game here as the fans have very much packed the rink here in Member 2. Taking that shot was Graves of the Joneljim Cougars. Sam Graves on defense wearing number 8, and it's the first save of the afternoon for the Truro Bearcats starter Blake Butcher. The Bearcats broke a 6-game losing skid last week where they beat the Harbour Rage by a 2-0 score on Sunday. They had won their first 2 games of the season before dropping 6 in a row. They now sit with a 3-6-0 record here. As mentioned, 9th in the standings here in the U15 Major League here. Face-off will be to the right of Blake Butcher. That face-off looked to be won by the Cougars for just a moment, but it'll instead scatter on over to the Truro Bearcats, and it's flung across diagonally along the ice over in front of the Bearcats bench and over to center ice is Frizzle. He's going to dump it in just on the correct side of the center ice line to avoid the icing. The Cougars coming away with it, but they can only go so far as the Bearcats take back the puck again. Little game of back and forth there. Throwing that check was Miller in front of the Cougars bench, and it's Miller throwing that back into the corner on the dump for Truro. Worked out the other way. Here come the Cougars down on the rush on the wing. Taking that one was Avery Johnson, number 6 for Joneljim. The Bearcats come back the other way. It's a brief 2-on-1 there. Cameron Ripley dumping that in the corner. It's Ripley with the puck now. He's going to take it in himself for a moment, but he is teamed up by a trio of Cougars over there, and they lose it. Back over to the far side point and dumped back in again by the Bearcats as they try to get a cycle going on early here in this hockey game. Puck is stripped. Kellen Buckley came out with that over to his defenseman Dylan Dixon. Dixon gets it on up the ice, and here come the Cougars the other way, but it is lost at the opposing blue line. Taking a few sticks up there high was Luke McNeil in there on the attack. McNeil plays it off over across the ice. Here's Dixon with the shot off a pad, the rebound. A duo of nice saves there by Blake Butcher in the Bearcats net. As it's a 2-on-2 down in the corner after Butcher kept that one out, but the Cougars keep up the attack. It's dumped back in there. Alex Boner back on defense. Boner will chase his own dump in. As it's flung on out the center ice, a high stick is waved off, although it was contacted. There was a battle for the puck there. And taking it himself for the Bearcats is Mason Holman. But now back on out goes the Cougars. Both teams will go for a change, but not before a big collision there. A nice hit thrown there by Marty McLeod, knocking his opponent right to the ice here. Now the Cougars will get some O-zone time. Chipping away at it. Good battle there by Lachlan O'Neill in the slot for the Cougars. But it is knocked wide and out of harm's way. The Bearcats trying to establish control behind their own net, and they get it as far as center ice before the Joneljim Cougars intercept it once more. The captain with the puck there, Sam Graves, for the Cougars for a moment, but it's all the way back down the other way as a fresh line comes on for the Bearcats, trying to get that cycle game going again there like they were for the first 2 minutes of this hockey game. The shot from McCachran is blocked, and back down the other way comes the Cougars. Lachlan O'Neill throws the cross-ice pass. Knocked away. Zenon Parks had the puck, and there was a collision up along the boards, and we're going to get a stoppage of play. A little bit of O-zone time for both teams, and they're really going to need that today by committee for all of their players, as each team's top scorer is out of the lineup today. Lincoln McDonald for Truro is out and not on the northeastern Nova Scotia road trip with the Bearcats this weekend. He is harboring a sickness, an illness. And Cohen Geezer, the top scorer for the Cougars, is serving a suspension and is thus also out of the lineup. McLeod with the shot for the Cougars. A couple more nice saves there. Blake Butcher has been a rock in the Bearcats crease early on here, as Joneljim has had some great opportunities. There's a shot again, and that's deflected wide. It was a very heavy cannon there by Marty McLeod. Here's the cross-ice pass again, and that's off a Bearcat player and chipped on down the ice. Going out to play it, though, is the Cougars goaltender, Landry. Leaves it there for his defenseman. Coming back the other way, Marty McLeod quarterbacking this rush before dropping it back off to his D partner, Dylan Barry. The teams will change. Sam Graves on defense. Leaves it back up again, and Graves receives a return pass. He's going to go up to the right the opposing defenseman here. Drop back to Braun on the point, cross ice, back and forth with Barry, and there's the shot, and it's up and into the glove of Blake Butcher. That is already the 6th shot of the game he has faced as we hit the 5-minute point of the first period here in Member 2. It is still a 0-0 game. The Cougars have controlled the last few minutes of play here. However, the face-off is won by Truro, and the icing call is waved off, so Joneljim will have to start up again in behind their own net. 35 seconds left on this penalty being served by Truro as Graves cuts in. Graves misses the return pass, but it'll be a 2-on-1 in the corner for the Cougars as they try to get set up here again. They got a couple good looks here on this power play with only 10 seconds left. And it's a great defensive stick there. That's how to kill a penalty there. A great example by Mason Holman, and he'll disrupt the play, and we're back to 5-on-5 action. Serving that penalty for the Bearcats was Keegan Webb, and he is back on out of the ice at the top of your screen. Coming back up the other way, very hard shift here by the second unit killers for the Truro Bearcats. That was Sidney Scott throwing a hit in front of his own bench as the puck is shot the length of the ice for an icing call against Truro, and the face-off will come back the other way. The Joneljim Cougars have a 4-4-2 record going into this game. Much like Truro, they began the season with 2 straight wins, both coming at home, but had since, in the regular season anyway, lost 6 of their last 8. But there are some signs of promise there. They went 3-0 in the group stage at the Monktonian tournament here a couple of weeks ago, and that was before losing by a very close 3-2 score by the league-leading Gulls of Upper Tantallon in that tournament. Although they didn't come away with any hardware, winning in such an environment is definitely crucial for a team at this point in their season. They went 1-1 last weekend, against the Valley Wildcats. They lost 2-1, but also won 7-2 to get them to their current record. 8:10 left in this first period. Still a scoreless game between the Cougars and the Truro Bearcats. Oh, what a move here. Great dangle. Jacob Clough walked through a trio of Cougars, but the puck rolled off his backhand before he could get a quality shot off on Ryland Landry in the Cougars' net. Landry, very mobile on his feet here today. He's been out and around everywhere outside his crease, giving his defenseman the best opportunity to move the puck out here. And this worked as the Cougars have had some good quality offensive looks here. They're on the defensive here now, though, taking on the Bearcats as Alex Boner dumps it into the corner. Goes in right behind the net. That puck is recovered by the Bearcats' Bowen McNutt on defense, but he could only get it as far as the blue line as that one is blockered away by Butcher. Boner in pursuit of the puck in down low, going 1-on-1 against Hudson Miller of the Bearcats. And it gets out to the line. Here's Sam Graves, the Cougars captain. He scores! Looked like it hit a body out front, but Joneljim will get the first goal of this hockey game. It's 1-0 Cougars. On the flyby is Luke McNeil. He turned his body there at the last second. He was camped out there right on top of Blake Butcher's crease. And as the shot came from Sam Graves from the right side point, it went the right way and fooled Butcher to the glove side. And that'll open the scoring here in Member 2. Graves is still out there on the ice for the Cougars as an all-important opening goal here. As mentioned, each team playing without their top scorers here, including Cohen Geezer, out of the lineup for the Cougars. So to get that scoring is crucial at this point in the game, and it's going to come here from Luke McNeil. Puck is up and out of play as the Bearcats shoot it out. The faceoff will come to the right of Butcher. That's Luke McNeil's third of the season. in his 11th game, 6 points. Meanwhile, Sam Graves will pick up his 9th point of the season. He leads the team's blue liners in scoring, the Cougars defenseman. As the puck rattled out in front of Butcher and net there for a second, the outlet pass up for Truro, and the icing will be waved off as there's a good race there. Oh, going right to the net. There's a couple of cracks at the net there on this good opportunity by the Bearcats, but standing tall in net was Landry. Holman intercepts the puck at center ice, but runs into a logjam there at the opposing blue line. Landry will regain possession and held in by his Bearcats teammates. That's padded off to the left there by Landry. But the Cougars will take it back at the point, and it is chipped up and around with icing being waved off. The D-to-D pass here for Truro. Peter Merriweather trying to control that breakout. The pass is intended up there for Cameron Ripley, and it's up over his stick. And quickly back up the other way. Oh, what an excellent pass. Here comes Ty Timmins. He's going to have to turn around and examine his options. There's the tip coming out of nowhere was Avery Johnston right off the bench, but the shot doesn't quite get on net. Trying to hold that line is Timmins. He's successful in that as the Bearcats try to force it back up the other way. Sam Graves gets it back up, down into the corner, and hot in pursuit is Timmins. Bowen McNutt working hard to clear that. He gets it up to his winger and back up toward the blue line, and here come the Bearcats. Great maneuver here. We've seen a lot of action from Jacob Clough. Clough holds off with one hand. Almost an excellent setup there for a quality scoring chance, but Truro can't quite get it on net. Taking a hit there, it's the Cougars defenseman as we get a whistle. Vinny Sims is going there against the point. And it appears the face-off will come outside. We got 4:43 left in this first period. Luke McNeil on the deflection, giving the Cougars this early 1-0 lead here in Member 2 in this Saturday evening Nova Scotia Under-15 major hockey matchup. Face-off won by the Cougars. That's up and off the glass, down the other way. Hot in pursuit. We got Kellen Buckley wearing number 12 in the blue uniforms. Chipped up around the back of the net, ran into both Truro Bearcats defensemen. Coming back out the other way, cross-ice pass hitting at center ice. Here comes Jackson Stanfield for the Bearcats, but they only get so far as the Cougars dump it back in the other way. Out of the net to play it is Blake Butcher. Butcher's made some excellent saves so far early into this hockey game. He stopped 7 of 8 shots and counting. Here comes Scott. Scott off a defenseman's skate, almost on the stick of Keegan Webb. It skipped over his stick too. Helping him out, Sidney Scott going for a skate in behind the net. Leaves it off there. Seth Lockyer throws it right on net. And ready for that, not much traffic in front. Rylan Landry will cover up and force the face-off just off to his left here. 3:40 remaining in this first frame. Face-off won by the Cougars. And the line is held. Great play by Lockyer there to get it back in deep. Mason Holman on the forecheck there for Truro. Lockyer once again holds the line, but only for a millisecond before that came out. Cougars working hard in the neutral zone, but now a 2-on-1 for Truro. Holman, the shot down low, and Landry was ready for it as he kicked it up to his glove and got the whistle. Little bit of extracurricular over by the goaltender's crease, but that doesn't lead to much else as both teams will complete a change here. Face-off won by Truro. Padded away by Landry over to his right. Merriweather, D-to-D pass over to Lockyer. There's the shot. That's just wide. All the way back to Merriweather. He's going to backhand it in, but it's intercepted by Timmins. It's a 2-on-1 coming down the other way. He's joined by Avery Johnston as Timmins tried to get the shot off, but an excellent defensive play and hustle by Cameron Ripley to avoid the scoring chance from materializing. The line is held there. by Vinny Sims on defense. Sims with the shot. He whips it in, but it's into the breadbasket of Blake Butcher, making the save. Couple of players colliding there just after the whistle went. But they'll settle down and go for the change one more time. Ty Timmins taking that face-off for the Cougars, but is instead won by Truro. The Bearcats will clear the zone. Jacob Frizzle dumps it the length of the ice, and the icing is called after all. Very close play on the race, but it'll come all the way back down the other way. .2:30 remaining in this first period. Luke McNeil with the goal for the Cougars, coming about midway through the first frame here. And that's the difference right now. 1-0 for the Joneljim Cougars here in Member 2 here this evening in Saturday night hockey action. As making that save is Butcher. He throws it up off the boards, but the line is held by the Cougars defenseman. Over on the boards, Hudson Miller for Truro tries to get it out. Hot in pursuit of the puck was Jacob Frizzle, trying to get that pass at center ice up for the rush, but it comes back the other way. Miller and Frizzle are working at it for Truro and get it all the way down to the Cougar zone. But Vinny Sims will retrieve it for the home team here. As the outlet pass didn't go quite as planned there for Joneljim. Shot down the other way. Sims fires it in behind the Truro net, and the Cougars will go for a change. Just hopping on the ice here, Dylan Barry on defense. Outlet pass up. Over to Dixon. Dixon going in against a trio of Bearcats there. As it's into the feet of Barry at center ice. He's going to work it back in the other way. And a close opportunity there for the Cougars, as that shot is turned away by Butcher. Shaken up on that shot. Lachlan O'Neill went in, ran into the boards. He's going to work his way back out, however. 1 minute, 9 seconds left in the first period here as time is winding down. Oh, the toe drag. What an excellent maneuver there by Zenon Parks. Parks second on the team in scoring, but first among players in the lineup tonight for the Cougars, as Cohen Geezer, the leading scorer for Joneljim, is out of the lineup tonight, serving a suspension. Parks tries to work in, he's going to steal it, and he got a stick up in the hands and will draw the penalty, and he throws a hit just as the whistle was blown there. He seemed to be frustrated at first. The arm didn't immediately go up from the official here, but as he throws a hit, the penalty call will be blown down, as we'll certainly get a Bearcat going to the box here. It'll be a hooking call. Lex McKenzie, it appears, going to the box for the hooking penalty here. And the Cougars, nothing else changed, will go to their second power play of this hockey game. 39.6 seconds here on the clock left in this first period, as the Cougars power play unit and the Bearcats penalty killers step onto the ice here to the right of Blake Butcher and net. The face-off is won by the Bearcats, but it was quickly given away to the Cougars, who got a shot on net. They were stopped, but Braun holds the line. Taking a high hit there was Braun on defense. Throwing that hit was Webb. Battle down to the corner. The Cougars not quite getting set up, and it's finally dumped down the ice by Truro with time winding down here in this first period. Outlet pass all the way up. That's intercepted by the Killers. Holman trying to clear that puck down the ice. But that will do it for the first period here in Member 2. Luke McNeil with the one and only goal of that first period, deflecting a shot from his teammate Sam Graves about halfway through the first frame there. And that's the difference right now. The Joneljim Cougars playing here away from their regular home ice here, usually out of North Sydney in Member 2 this weekend, and feel quite comfortable here. Anyway, just like it is a home game, as it is a home game. It's a great crowd here this afternoon in Member 2 as the faithful make the 20-minute trip up from North Sydney to see their U15 team in action. And they're giving them a show so far as they're in the lead 1-0, but Truro right with them, so stay tuned for the second period here on High Button Sports. Welcome back for the second period here on the High Button Sports. A 1-0 lead for the Joneljim Cougars here after the first period. And they find themselves on the power play as well. Oh, it's a great defensive stick there. It was a Truro Bearcats 2-on-1. Coming all the way back on the rush was defenseman Sam Graves. Cougars on the power play here, but the Bearcats trying to make a statement, coming out hot here in this second period. Truro holding the play down there. Leading that forecheck on the kill is Cameron Ripley. He's out there with Sidney Scott, the forwards on this penalty kill unit for Truro. 28 seconds left in the Bearcats penalty to Lex McKenzie. He took a hooking call toward the end of the first period. He's waiting to jump out of the box as the Cougars take it back down to the offensive zone, looking for one more good scoring chance here before we return to 5-on-5 action. The shot is blockered away by Blake Butcher. He's been busy so far. He made 13 saves in that first period. He just made his 15th. Has a shot wide open, and it lands on top of the net, and we're going to get a whistle. It is a long-range shot there by the Cougars defenseman Marty McLeod, but it's blockered up and not quite behind Butcher, but on top of the net as we return to 5-on-5 play here in Member 2. Face-off will be to the left of Butcher, and it's won by the Cougars. There's a long-range shot right off Butcher's mask. It was let go by Dylan Dixon on defense. Off a Bearcat stick back down the other way. Rhineland Landry, the goaltender for the Cougars, almost had it lost in his feet as he tried to make a play for his defenseman. But now Truro will get it down in low. But the Cougars are back out the other way. It's going to be a 3-on-2, maybe a 4-on-2 forming here. Out the other way, the backdoor pass. An excellent heads-up pass by Ty Timmons. But it was a good save made there by Butcher to keep this game 1-0. Keegan Webb coming down the other way for Truro. His shot is wide of the net. And Joneljim will pick it up. They're stopped in the neutral zone. Trying to pick up that puck was Seth Lockyer, who also threw a hit on a Cougar, but goes all the way down to the Cougar zone. It's off a stick and up the other way. Lockyer will throw it back in off a skate of a Cougars defenseman and in behind their net. Cougars breaking out the puck. Up for Brandon Dulesky, wearing number 26 today for the Cougars. He was given the rookie lap here during the warm-ups. He's an affiliated player with this team. I'm not here to tell you today this is his first game in a Cougars uniform, but he did have that rookie lap, which is typically the case in a lot of leagues. Cameron Ripley dumps it in for the Bearcats. 16:45 left in this second period here. It's a 1-0 lead for the Cougars. It was a one-on-one battle there. Going in hard was one Cougar. It's held in by Vinny Sims at the line. Coming back down is Linus Braun on defense, and it's Shot wide, and we're going to get a whistle. The back referee has his hand up, going to make a cross-check call. We're going to get a power play coming up here in just a moment. 16:27 remaining in this second period. Lachlan O'Neill, 2-minute minor for cross-checking, and we will get our first look at the Truro Bearcats power play this evening. And what a better time to score a goal here than to potentially tie this game up on the road at 1. They got a tough northeastern Nova Scotia road trip they're embarking on here this weekend. Tomorrow they play the Novas in Antigonish tomorrow morning at 11:30. So after tonight, we'll have to hit the road for the roughly 2-hour drive to Antigonish and be up and ready for a morning game tomorrow. Not to mention the Novas are third in the league standings. They play tonight at home as well. The Bearcats win the face-off and look to be getting set up in the Cougars zone. Playing around with the puck is Michaud on defense. That's going to be cycled back to Sydney Scott. Scott down to Jackson Stanfield playing the corner. Scott walks out off the point, and it's blockered away. A great reaching save there by Landry. And that is forked on back to the line, and the Bearcats can't find their defense, and they'll have to try again 40 seconds into this power play. Outlet pass is picked off. Reading that one and going for the rush. Here comes Linus Braun, a great short-handed chance. He made that happen very quickly, but the shot is high and wide as Braun kills some time for the Cougars. Now walking in, intercepting that pass was Alex Boner, but his shot is also wide as he takes a hit up high. The Bearcats will settle this down as they have about 54 seconds remaining on this power play. Skips up and through the legs of a penalty-killing Cougar. Taking that in is Seth Lockyer. And that's off the skate there. Very active goaltender Rhineland Landry tried to set up his defenseman, but is held in by the Cougars. Back to the line for Lockyer. Lockyer is out there with Mason Holman to his right, but he's going to elect to shoot. And it is caught up high by Landry, who is still keeping the puck out thus far for the Cougars. 28 seconds remaining on this Bearcats power play. Their first opportunity of the afternoon here as we just eclipse the 5-minute mark of the second period, with the Cougars hanging on to that 1-0 lead off a first period goal. Great pad save there. And the rebound came back to the point for Lockyer. Lockyer over to Holman, playing the boards. Holman will walk closer to the slot and curl around again over to Lockyer. He's at the top of the slot. There's the shot, and ready for that on the sight line was Landry, making another good save. He's made a couple of solid ones here on this penalty kill. The Bearcats have another 4 seconds before Lachlan O'Neill steps out of the box for the Cougars to make it 5-on-5 again. Unless, of course, they can score before that time. As Holman gets ready to take the draw for Truro, he is up and ready. Face-off will instead be to the right of the goaltender Rhineland Landry. And the face-off is won by the Cougars, but it's held in by Lockyer as we return to 5-on-5. It's forced to the middle of the ice. Out of the box hot was O'Neill, but instead Truro will throw it back in. Leading that breakout is Dylan Dixon. He is pressured quickly and heavily there by the forecheckers for Truro. And that'll work as McNutt for the Bearcats will work it out on defense up for Lockyer. Puck is intercepted quickly, and there's the pass toward the Cougars bench as some players were making a change at the end of that penalty kill. And Truro will retrieve the puck once again. Landry out once more to play that puck as the Cougars defenseman takes a check there. A very aggressive forecheck we've seen here this afternoon by the Bearcats. And it's given them a couple great opportunities. It's a shot out front. It's through the legs. Oh, how'd that not go in? Jacob Clough right up on top of the net, causing havoc in front of the goaltender Landry, but with a little help from his defense, it doesn't quite get through as it rolled through the goaltender crease and stayed out. Frizzle takes a check in front of the bench. Timmons playing physical for the Cougars as he goes for a change. And here's another play here. Jacob Clough had a has had a couple of quality chances on this shift. And that's a spin around shot there out of nowhere from Keegan Webb, trying to catch Landry by surprise, but the home goaltender was ready. And finally, the Bearcats, after a very good forward shift following up that power play attempt that didn't produce a goal, trying to keep the momentum up here as we approach the midway point of the second period while they trail by 1. Landry plays the puck off for his defenseman. Linus Braun, is tied up in the corner by a Bearcat. It's back up the other way as the Cougars get a 2-on-2 chance here. Going in solo, McKenzie with a great defensive play for the Bearcats, forcing the possession up the other way. Webb had it for a moment in the Truro zone, as it's a good Bearcats giveaway, and the Cougars were stopped there on a close opportunity in close. And with his head to the sky, Kellen Buckley had an excellent chance in close air. He was denied by Blake Butcher. He's made some good saves this afternoon. That was his 14th stop. With 12:05 left in the second period. Face-off will be to the left of Butcher, and it's won by the Bearcats in their defensive zone. Keegan Webb gets it as far as center ice before there is a whistle. Puck appeared to go into the bench there, and we'll get a face-off here in the neutral zone just in front of Truro's bench. It's a tie-up just outside the Bearcats zone. Truro takes it back up the other way. Ace Wadden, wearing number 14 in white, took it in quite deep, but the Cougars will turn it up the other way. Lachlan O'Neill had it for a second, but bounced off his off his stick at center ice. Taking a hit there, huge hit thrown there by Ripley. Cameron Ripley for Truro gets the bench going. And now coming back up the other way is Mason Holman up the right side. Runs into a logjam there at center ice, but gets some help from Lockyer, the defenseman. Here comes Seth Lockyer. There's a shot, and it's blockered away. A tough save there, made successfully by Rylan Landry. And he'll have to get ready for a few more because the Cougars are going back to the penalty box. Taking a slashing call was Zenon Parks. So the Truro Bearcats are back to the power play. They didn't score in their first opportunity, which is only a couple of minutes ago here, but they'll get those players going here again as they have been controlling the majority of the second period so far, working their way back up the shot clock, 15-12 in favor of the Cougars right now. Face off to the right of Landry, goes back in behind for a Bearcat, and there's the shot in close on the backhand. Very close opportunity for Clough, who tried to sneak that backhand past Landry, but he was ready, and the puck is cleared down the length of the ice, 200 feet by the Cougars. Breaking back out the other way, turning at the wrong time is Clough as it hit his back skate. And Johnston, the forechecker, turned around, but Clough will now take it out here on the second attempt. He's going to gain the red line and then the blue and passes it over for Frizzle. There's a shot, and that's off a stick, but nonetheless, Landry with another save as he makes a couple of big stops here early in this penalty kill opportunity. Minute 24 remaining on this power play for Truro. As we approach the midway point of the second period, Luke McNeil scored in the first period to give us the lone goal in this game such far. 1-0 in favor of the home team, Joneljim Cougars. The face-off is won by the Truro Bearcats. Looking at his options on the ice, Jacob Clough over at the point, throws it cross ice for Frizzle. Jacob Frizzle throws it back to Clough. And at the top is Seth Lockyer at the blue line. Over for Jacob Frizzle, the shot off a stick! And on the back door, that was an incredibly close chance for the Bearcats. But the attacker fanned on the shot on the back door as the Cougars fire it down the ice. 46 seconds left on this power play for the Truro Bearcats. Gained the zone is Jacob Clough. Clough has been making a lot of noise for the Bearcats here this evening. Some very good scoring chances. But standing tall has been Rylan Landry in net. He has been really battling in the goalie crease today and stopping everything he has seen as the puck is up and off the mesh and out of play in the Cougar zone, and they'll get a face-off to the right of their goaltender here on the far end of the ice. 31 seconds left on the Truro Bearcats power play, which has been looking very good, but hasn't quite broken through as of yet. As Clough tries to battle in there, a very competitive one-on-one matchup with Sam Graves, the captain of the Cougars. As they go at it again, it looks like Clough is without a stick, and he's going to pin Graves to the boards. It's a 2-on-2 rugby scrum down in the right side corner, and the Bearcats come out with the puck as it's over to Seth Lockyer on the close side point, and that is padded away by Landry and back into the corner. Lockyer will pick up his own rebound, come all the way back as we return to 5-on-5 action. No power play goal, but the Bearcats are still pressing as it's back out the other way. The line is held by Clough, but not much for long as it's chipped up and out the other way. But the face-off will come back to the other end anyway as the Cougars ice the puck. Keegan Webb wins the face-off for the Bearcats. Back to the point, that's off a glove! Hit the defenseman out front of the Cougars' net. Rylan Landry has been dealing with plenty of deflections here in this second period, and he stands the test for that one. Face-off will be in the exact same spot as it was 6 seconds ago, but both teams will make a line change here. Jacob Clough comes on the ice to take the draw for the Bearcats. Going up against the Cougars, Kellen Buckley, the centermans. And Buckley will win the face-off, but it goes right back to Frizzle in the Truro Bearcats. Out there on the line with Jacob Clough there. This has been a very good line this afternoon for Truro. Hudson Miller also joining them on this unit. And that's Miller who has the puck right now. Almost lost it. There's Frizzle, another blocker save there by Landry. Clough going up there hard against the battle with Brandon Dulesky of the Cougars, and Dulesky will contribute to getting that puck up and out and down the ice the other way. Out there with Buckley and Lachlan O'Neill on this forward line. Dulesky throws it back in for O'Neill. Out front, an excellent passing play, but the shot hit the side of the net as Kellen Buckley got in very close quarters there with Blake Butcher, the goalie, and there's the outlet pass. Frizzle tried to hit Clough for the potential breakaway pass, but it goes a little too far, and Landry will cover up for the stoppage. 8 minutes left in this second period. Although the Truro Bearcats have controlled this period with the help of 2 power play opportunities, the Cougars are still holding on to a 1-0 lead in this hockey game. This is the first meeting between these teams this season. As mentioned off the top of the broadcast, the Cougars sitting tied for 7th in the Nova Scotia Under-15 Major Hockey League standings. The Bearcats are in 9th place. These teams haven't been so hot in their last stretch of games. The Cougars have lost 6 of their last 8 league games, while the Bearcats have lost 6 of their last 7, including a 6-game losing streak, which was snapped in their last game. So they're trying to turn this into a trend, their success into a trend here on this northeastern Nova Scotia road trip for Truro. The Cougars got it deep in the Truro zone, taking it in and around with Ethan Marsh. He tried to find his teammate Ty Timmins in front, but it's going to go all the way back to the defense. Timmins forced it down. Waiting there for the puck was Avery Johnston. Got it back up to his defenseman Linus Braun, but it came up and out of the zone. And the Bearcats will try to flip this up the other way as Andrew Michaud goes on the breakout. Coming up with a head of steam is Mason Holman. He's going to have to curl off to the left. It's a battle in front of the net, but the Cougars will force it away. It's knocked up again, though. Cogan McCulley, wearing number 10, tried to get the shot to the net, but it didn't quite get all the way to Landry. As the players collide there at the face-off dot to the left of Landry, and we're going to get a face-off. The official is holding up 6 fingers at the Truro Bearcats bench, so we might be getting a Joneljim Cougars power play here in just a moment. And that is indeed the case as the officials head down to the Truro Bearcats end. Cogan McCulley will serve that penalty for the Bearcats. Too many men on the ice. And the Cougars will go back to the power play for the 3rd time today. They are yet to score on the man advantage, with 6:49 left in this second period. Still a 1-goal game, and suffice to say the next goal is a big one, and it could come here if we see a good power play from the home side here. Sam Graves wearing number 8 on the fence. Back to Barry. He's out there with Braun on the top of the circle over to Graves. There's the shot, and it's a great save by Butcher. As Graves curls back around there. Linus Braun on defense, and it's intercepted there by the killer, Sidney Scott, but it's held in somehow. Braun, the shot, and that slipped just past the glove of Blake Butcher, but went high and wide of the net anyway. Here comes Timmins. Timmins throws it across to Graves on the far side hash mark. Back up for Braun. Throws it across for Dylan Barry, playing the opposite side hash mark. Dylan Barry up top for Braun. And here's a shot. And it skitters back over toward the goal crease. Blake Butcher didn't cover up, but his teammates will shoot it the length of the ice as we have a minute remaining on his Joneljim Cougars power play. Walking in, there's a great rush here by Linus Braun, but it is covered up by Butcher. Braun, a very offensively inclined defenseman for this Joneljim Cougars team. He leads this team's blue liners in scoring. He has 8 points in 10 games played for the Cougars, and that includes 2 goals on the season for Braun. As the Cougars win the draw, and a quick shot off there went wide of Butcher's net. The line is held there by McLeod. Dylan Dixon missed the pass, but it'll rim all the way back around for Ethan Marsh. He will backpedal back to the corner. Over to the top is McLeod, the shot, and that's a great block there. Seeing some great killing from Hudson Miller for the Truro Bearcats, and that will lead to the puck coming on out of the zone with 18 seconds left on this power play for the Cougars, and they will come in offside. And the face-off will come up and outside the blue line in front of the Cougars bench. 5:04 left in this second period. Both teams pressing for that all-important second goal of the game, the only one coming by the Cougars so far. There's been no shortage of chances on both ends, though, however. The goaltenders Blake Butcher and Rylan Landry have been challenged plenty so far in this hockey game and have been making some excellent saves at some very important moments for both teams. As we return to 5-on-5 action, the Bearcats kill it off as jumping out of the box is Cogan McCulley, who is serving that too many men penalty for Truro. He had it bounce off his skate with the Cougars recovering, going back the other way. Marty McLeod will cycle the puck up and toward the boards. That's intercepted by a Bearcat at center ice. Cogan McCulley hard up on the chase on the forecheck for Truro. Michaud of the Bearcats will force it up to his forwards. That's dumped in. Jackson Stanfield chases his own dump in into the corner. And it's back the other way. Here comes the Cougars. Zenon Parks, the second leading scorer on this Cougars team. Very active on the rush today. Out there with Ty Timmins on his forward line. That bounces up off a stick over to Linus Braun. Braun likes to fly up the ice and take on players one-on-one, and he will here. Braun goes down a little bit. He's still got the shot off impressively, but Butcher takes care of business and makes a save. Now back up the other way, right off the bench is Jacob Clough. He's in tight. Ready for that was Landry. He makes a save. He's tripped up there behind the play. And the Cougars try to go back the other way. We've seen chances coming up both ways, but the Bearcats are a little overzealous there as Clough jumps in over offside as a whistle stops play. 3:28 left in this second frame here. A goal would be huge heading into the flood here. We'll see if that happens. Only the lone goal this game so far for the Cougars, coming way back in the first period. As Joneljim chips it all the way out, up on the rush there. With that puck is Timmins, a very energetic physical player and presence for this Cougars team. Throwing a lot of hits here this afternoon out on that line with Avery Johnston. Johnston's in back in the one-on-one battle behind the net with the Bearcats defenseman. And Truro will come away with the puck. Hudson Miller coming down the right wing. Tries to throw it on the centering pass toward for Jacob Frizzle. And it's off his stick, up and over to the boards. The Cougars barely get it across the line there. And the referee's arm is going to go up and the whistle blown. We're going to have an interference call here. It was called as the Cougars touched up the puck. And heading to the box is Vinny Sims for Joneljim. So we're going to see the third power play opportunity of the afternoon for Truro now. And with 2:37 left in this period, what a great opportunity to try to tie this one up before the flood. Jacob Clough taking that face-off for the Bearcats, but it's won by the Cougars instead and is shot down the length of the ice. Seth Lockyer leading that breakout for the Bearcats, and aggressive up on the rush is Sidney Scott wearing number 15. He's in the far side corner as the Bearcats get set up. Seth Lockyer playing the point. Waiting down low is Holman, who now has the puck. Back up top for Lockyer. He'll circle around and back up to the point, and it is caught and stopped by Landry and net. 2 minutes left in this period. A minute 23 on the ongoing power play. Holman taking the face-off for the power play unit Bearcats. And again, the Cougars, they've been very good in the face-off circle here this period, but they can't break it out. The line is held. Seth Lockyer, the shot that goes way up over the crossbar. Keegan Webb recovering the puck back behind the net for the Bearcats as they try to get set up again on this power play. Cogan McCulley, the AP out there on this power play unit for Truro as well. He's going to park in front of the net as they play a little pass over on the far side and looping in the middle of the ice. Sidney Scott, there's the pass cross ice. Almost getting the stick on that was McCulley, but it's padded away by the goaltender Landry. Lockyer up by the blue line. Scott back to Lockyer. And that's off a stick. Good stick there by Timmins of the Cougars on this penalty kill. And now he's going to take it himself all the way up to the opposing blue line and down in deep. 30 seconds left on this Bearcats power play. They were set up here for a minute, but they'll have to try again with little time left in this period. Only 1 minute left, as a matter of fact. Coming up the other way is Lockyer, playing a lot of power play minutes today for the Bearcats. Lockyer in tight, tried to fool Landry down low, but he was ready as he got down into the butterfly just in time. And we're going to get a whistle. Both officials head that. Hand pass down low by the Bearcats, and the face-off will come outside with 11 seconds left on this power play. Just 48 seconds, though, left in the second period. The Bearcats come away with the puck. Jacob Frizzle takes a lap and a loop and a dump in, and the Bearcats will go in on the chase. Hudson Miller is there to retrieve the dump in, but we're back to 5-on-5 hockey here as the Cougars kill off their third penalty of this period, coming in big defensively, especially with the help of the goaltending of Rhineland Landry making some crucial saves. Here come the Cougars the other way. It's a 2-on-1, but intercepted there by Miller on a good back check for the Bearcats. 10 seconds left in the period. Frizzle might get one more chance for Truro. He's on the chase there with Graves as Graves goes down. Frizzle couldn't retrieve the puck though as the clock winds down here in the second period. As the teams do a little bit of pushing and shoving, but not much beyond that, as the Cougars and the Bearcats head toward their dressing rooms for the flood, much to the delight of the home crowd here in Member 2 after 2 periods of play in this hockey game so far. Luke McNeil with the lone goal so far, coming in the first period for the Cougars, and that's where we stand so far. 1-0 for the Joneljim Cougars in this Nova Scotia U15 Major Hockey League matchup here this Saturday evening at the Member 2 Sport and Wellness Center. Stay tuned for the third period. We'll be back after the flood. And welcome back to the third period here in Member 2 in Nova Scotia Under 15 Major Hockey League action here on High Button Sports. The Joneljim Cougars hanging on to a 1-0 lead here in a very close hockey game as we enter the third period. The story of this game so far definitely has been the goaltending. Great stuff from the stoppers on both sides, but the netminder for the Cougars, Rhineland Landry, has been perfect so far. He's looking for that elusive second win of the season in his win column, and he's been playing hard, especially in the second period there. The Truro Bearcats really turned it on with 3 different power play opportunities, but he has stood tall and has stopped all 19 shots so far faced his way and counting, as we are in for another 20 minutes or more here. And really, it could be more in a close hockey game like this. Truro pressing very much, but the Cougars hanging on to that narrow lead. Maybe not much of a surprise. The scoring hasn't been as much. Both teams without their leading scorers here this evening, as Cohen Geezer is serving a suspension, the leading scorer for the Cougars. And Lincoln McDonald, the leading scorer for the Bearcats, also not in the lineup for visiting Truro. The referee took a puck right into the back on an attempted dump in by the Cougars just a few moments ago. He's favoring there a little bit, but seems to be all right there. Cougars have the puck. Here comes Graves. Sam Graves, the captain, trying to lead this break-in down up on the right side. He's going to go for a cycle all the way around, looks at his options. He's going to hit Ty Timmins on the far side. Timmins gets it down low for his teammate, parked in front with Lachlan O'Neill on top of the goaltender crease, but he couldn't get the shot off as there was some good defending there by the D-men for the Truro Bearcats, and they'll get a chance to go up the other way. There's Scott, threw it to Seth Lockyer, the defenseman, who gets it all the way down to Stanfield. It's a knuckle puck bouncing up and down off the ice, but Landry will pad it into the corner, and the Cougars will settle it down as Truro makes a change. Sam Graves forces it back down the other way. Battled there hard there by Miller of the Bearcats, trying to take it in, joined there by line mate Jacob Clough. The Clough-Miller line making a lot of noise for Truro here this afternoon, but haven't quite broken through just yet. Up there on an aggressive poke check was Brandon Dulesky, the AP for the Cougars, and he'll force a turnover. There's the high shot. That goes wide of Blake Butcher's net, but the line is held by Dixon, the defenseman for Joneljim. As Timmins went in, it's lost in his skate. He'll be joined there by Avery Johnston, his line mate. Completing that threesome is Brandon Dulesky, wearing number 26 in the blue uniform, as it's a good forechecking shift in there for the home team Cougars. Miller tried to take the stretch pass coming off the bench there at center ice, but it will miss everybody and go in behind the Cougars net for an icing call. It'll come all the way back down to Truro's zone. It's a very energetic first 2 minutes of the second period there. Both teams getting in close on each other's goalies, but as we've seen all game, both Blake Butcher and Rhineland Landry standing tall in between the pipes. And the Cougars break through, trying to force it in on Butcher. Great opportunity there as the centerman fell into Butcher. Gets back up without any extracurricular there, but the puck does go all the way back down to the Cougars zone. And that is shoveled in on the backhand and in deep to the Bearcats zone in behind the net. First guy in on the puck is Alex Boner, wearing number 14 for the Cougars. Forced it up to his line mate, and coming in on an aggressive pinch is Linus Braun. Braun will hold the line and head the puck for a second, took the blindside hit, but stayed on his feet and kept the puck in for even just a moment as Truro then got it out. As both teams will get some line changes in. D-to-D pass in behind Truro's net. There's Bowen McNutt up to his winger, but coming in aggressively off the bench is Lachlan O'Neill. He'll go in behind the net. His teammate Boner is parked in front of the net, as is Kellen Buckley, as it's off a stick and wide of Butcher's net. Puck is held in again by the Cougars as that one got through everybody. It wasn't a fast shot, but it was a bouncy and a tricky one, but it's no trouble for the Bearcats netminder as we hit the 16:54 mark of the third period. And the Cougars trying to make this game more like the first period again than the second. The Cougars controlled the first stanza of this matchup. The Bearcats turned it around more on the offensive side in the second. But the Joneljim Cougars team here has had the puck on their stick a little bit more here in the small sample size of the third period. And here they come again. Zenon Parks in down low. First guy in the puck. There's a quick pass out in front. An excellent heads-up save by Blake Butcher as it goes back to Parks in the corner. O'Neill tried to throw it back in front again. Ethan Marsh was there, the forward for the Cougars, but the puck missed him as well. So O'Neill goes in and throws a hit. That's a big body there, playing a very physical game today for the Cougars. As Sam Graves is going to go for a skate, he sidestepped a duo of Bearcats. He throws it off to Zenon Parks. Parks tried to get it back down to Graves, and Graves will take it himself actually after a brief interception. Graves very active on the skates and the stick with a lot of puck possession time. The Cougars captain making a lot happen today. He has the assist on the lone goal scored in the first period by teammate Luke McNeil. As Stanfield and the Bearcats take the puck possession down into the opposite end for a change. Stepping in, here's the shot, back to the rebound, and it's in between the legs of the goaltender Landry, as all alone in front of the net was Mason Holman setting up his teammate Cogan McCulley right on the doorstep. But Landry shut the door once more, as he has all evening here in Member 2. And one of the best chances for the Bearcats to even this thing up so far. But not to worry just yet. They have just over 15 minutes left in this third period to make that happen, and they got the face-off win. Sidney Scott will loop back up top, and it's another save made. It appeared by Landry if it didn't hit a body. Avery Johnston of the Cougars, the first forechecker up there. But the Bearcats will take it back in, even if only for a second. Merriweather dumps it in for Truro. Ty Timmons gets a stick on that and gets it in deep for the Cougars. He's going to go in against Peter Merriweather, the defenseman for Truro. Gets it back up to Stanfield, the winger wearing number 12 in the white uniforms. And a couple of good sidesteps there by Sidney Scott. Always a dangerous offensive presence for this Bearcats team. Scott had the puck there again for a moment, going up against Timmons as the teams go back and forth in puck possession and big hits in front of the Cougars bench. Throwing another hit down there is Keegan Webb. Aggressive forecheck as it's thrown up out front. Jackson Stanfield couldn't get a stick on the ice. Floats past him. Ace Wadden gets it toward the net, and Landry had to be ready for that once again, as he was. Bearcats pinned by a duo of Cougars over there. It's off the arm of Jackson Stanfield, thrown back in behind the net. A good shift here for that line, along with Sidney Scott, the center. Back in down low, Stanfield on the backhand pass, he scores! And there's the equalizer. Keegan Webb has tied this one up at one as he beats Ryland Landry over the glove side to even this thing up. And a great shift led to that one, that Jackson Stanfield, Keegan Webb, Sidney Scott line for Truro. They've had to carry much of the offensive load here and have had lots of great chances and looks, and they finally break through that all-important second goal of the hockey game. It is the one that makes this a brand new hockey game with 13:52 left in the third period. 1-1, a big one for Keegan Webb there to tie this one up for Truro. That's the sixth goal of the season for Webb. He's second on the team in goal scoring, just after Lincoln McDonald. McDonald, as mentioned, is not in the lineup for the Bearcats today. So it is players like Webb that have to step in and find a way to find the back of the net, and he certainly did that. And the Bearcats are going to try to keep this thing going as they got the play right back down in the Cougar zone. as Truro's turned it up here in the last few minutes. A couple of really good forward line shifts here. Now they got the Jacob Clow line back out here. And Clow himself shooting the puck there. It's off a pair of shin pads of a Cougars player as they try to turn the action down the other way as Kellen Buckley breaks down in the zone. He's going to turn around and take a bump as the Bearcats work it back out the zone, but not too aggressively though, as it's not enough for icing. Sam Graves, the captain for this Cougars team, is going to go for a rush. He can fly, and there he goes. They're going to take him to the left wing corner, and it slips off his stick, and coming back the other way is Mason Holman for the Bearcats, but he loses it at center ice, and Truro will have to reset back in their own zone here. A couple of D-to-D maneuvers there as Seth Lockyer throws a stretch pass up. That is off a stick and up and over the glass back in the Cougars zone and out of play. The face-off will come outside at 12:17 of this third period. Keegan Webb tying this game just moments ago here in member 2 for the Truro Bearcats. The Joneljim Cougars had the 1-0 lead there after an early first period goal. It stayed 1-0 up until that Webb goal just shortly ago. And here we are with a 1-1 score here as the Bearcats try to keep the temperature turned up on the Cougars' defense here as they've followed that goal up with a couple of strong shifts. Holman for the Bearcats has had his looks there today. And he's going to come up again with another look here. He's joined by Cameron Ripley on the rush, his line mate. But a Cougar stick breaks that one up. Marty McLeod mishandles the pass, the defenseman for the Cougars, as Ripley takes it back in the other way and has gotten across the blue line, so Truro will have to reset. Coming in on the rush is Seth Lockyer, and that rolls off his stick as the Cougars break it up once more. Lachlan O'Neill takes it up for the Joneljim Cougars, joined by Zinn and Parks on that forward line, as well as Ty Timmins wearing number 22. This has been a strong line today for the home team. Seth Lockyer for the Bearcats goes D-to-D and is sprung up there to center ice. As taking in the puck is the goal scorer, Keegan Webb. Webb fights off the body check, but it's off a stick and back over to the corner. His teammate Sidney Scott will have to go retrieve it. And that's up high off the glass. It's gloved down, though, by Avery Johnston. And he took a big hit there, but it's Webb, Keegan Webb, that ends up lying on the ice after throwing that body check. Comes all the way back down to the Cougars zone as they try to break it out. It's a two-touch up the center ice, but again, the Bearcats intercept. So there's a little bit of hot potato going on in this neutral zone, going each and every other way. Dylan Barry's turn to try and fork that one out for the Cougars. He'll get it up across the line, but it's dumped back in once more. Approaching the midway point of this third period. It's a 1-1 hockey game after that Keegan Webb goal. Here's the shot by Timmins. He scores! Ty Timmins responds. And back in the lead just moments after losing it. The Joneljim Cougars are again ahead by a goal. It's 2-1. The Cougars haven't had the chances in this period as the Bearcats have, especially in the last few minutes, as Joneljim couldn't get it quite down low. But Ty Timmins, who has been having a very good game, steps up for Joneljim there and picks a high glove of Blake Butcher to make it 2-1 for the home team here. That's Timmins' third goal of the season. And as is the case with the Bearcats, the Cougars missing their top scorer today. Of course, Cohen Geezer is out serving a suspension. So it is players like Ty Timmins that have to step up and have to find a way to put the puck in the back of the net. And he just did that, going high glove on Blake Butcher as the Cougars ice the puck. And it'll come back down the other way. The Bearcats have controlled most of the play here in this third period. But if they want to tie this thing up and either force overtime, we're not quite there yet, but either force overtime or even take that lead late in this third period, they got to keep on putting in the work as the Cougars win the face-off to the left of the goaltender, Ryland Landry. Avery Johnston dumps it in after the icing for the Cougars, and the forward lines for the home team will change up. Bearcats trying to break out there. Couple of shimmy shakes there by Jacob Frizzle, the forward for this Truro team. Vinny Sims on defense wearing number 3. Going to start the breakout up to Linus Braun, his D partner. No shortage of mobile, quick defensemen on this Cougars team that like to move the puck and like to skate with the puck. Linus Braun and Sam Graves, the most prominent examples of that. Stirring up a lot of action for this home team here. 8:50 remaining in the third period here in Member 2. The Joneljim Cougars have just taken back the lead. It's 2-1. Ty Timmins scoring his 3rd goal of the season, going top shelf on Blake Butcher, the Truro Bearcats goalie, to make it a 1-goal lead for the home team, as it is off a stick down in the other way for the Bearcats, trying to get this ozone pressure into some results. So the defensemen go up and behind the net, up to that Cougars winger, and lean the rush back the other way is Alex Boner. Boner chases his own dump in over to the far side corner. He's met by a duo of Bearcats, and it's led off to McNeil, and getting off the shot was Kellen Buckley, and it just went high and wide of the glove side. Sam Graves struggled with the puck there for a moment, intercepted by Cameron Ripley of the Bearcats, but he's going to slap it down the ice for an icing call with 8:02 left in this third period. Face-off will come to the left of Blake Buckley down in the Truro Bearcats zone. Mason Holman taking that all-important defensive zone draw. He'll go up against Kellen Buckley, and Buckley wins it for the Cougars. Face-off back to Dixon, and there's a straightaway shot from the top of the slot, right into the glove again of Butcher, who will cover up for a whistle. Bearcats leading in the shot department today, 24-21. Rylan Landry, the goaltender for the Cougars, has stopped every shot except one. Butcher also very strong, making some crucial saves, has stopped all 21 shots except for 2. And that is the difference on the scoreboard right now, as there's an icing call against the Cougars. The high button is back here tomorrow morning at noon in this very same rink at the Member 2 Sport and Wellness Center. The Joneljim Cougars playing 2 home games this weekend away from the regular home rink of the American Center North Side, North Sydney. They're a 20-minute drive away in Member 2 here this weekend. Tomorrow they take on the Warewell Bombers of New Glasgow, who after a 4-3 win against the Halifax Wolverines earlier this afternoon, now sit first place in the Nova Scotia Under-15 Major Hockey League standings, but it'll be a challenge for the Bombers, who are making the drive up from Halifax today in order the 4-hour drive to Sydney, Member 2, as they come into the Cougars barn here. So it'll be a busy weekend on the road for them, much like the Truro Bearcats, who will head to Antigonish tomorrow to play the Novas at 11:30. The Novas, also a very strong team. They sit in 3rd place in the U15 Major Hockey League standings. And you can also catch that one right here on High Button Sports. Face off here to the right of Butcher. It looked like the Bearcats had won the face-off for a second, but they're going to perform a do-over here. Sidney Scott taking the defensive zone draw for the Bearcats, as the face-off takers had to switch for the Cougars, and Truro will win the face-off following that. As Truro flicks it up toward the center ice dot, that's off a stick, so the icing will be waved off, and having to scramble back to grab that puck is Linus Braun. Braun stick handling and maneuvering there in his own zone. Shovels the backhand up toward the center ice, and will get far enough for the puck to be dumped in First guy in there is Buckley for the Cougars, but it's flicked up hard along the boards as the Bearcats tried to spring it back the other way, but the first guy in is Hudson Miller, so the icing is waved off. Miller is joined by his teammate Clow. Jacob Clow right out front. It was at the top of the crease, but a Cougar stick got on it first, and it'll be sprung all the way back down to the other end of the ice, and icing is waved off at the last second as Bowen McNutt has to move this puck up the ice for the Bearcats. It's off a stick as Zenon Parks intercepts that. Winds up for the fake slapper. He's going to curl around. Tried to sneak it down low on Butcher, but it is sticked away down into the corner. Back and forth play here, a lot of it. Jacob Frizzle now gets it to the middle for Clow off a leg. The rebound scrambled right out front there, but Ryland Landry keeps that out of the net. Frizzle cuts to the top. The rebound. Clow is right on top, and it's in between the goaltender's legs. A good flurry of chances for both hockey teams here. It was an excellent example of attack, counter-attack, as the Bearcats tried to jump on a bad change there by the Joneljim Cougars. But standing in tall, as he has been all game to this point, Ryland Landry with a couple of crucial saves once more for the Cougars. And the Cougars will respond by winning that defensive zone draw to the left of their goaltender. Working back up the other way, Marty McLeod gets it up toward the boards, tried to get it to his winger, and it's just enough to squeeze across that blue line. Ty Timmins, he scored the go-ahead goal here about 5 minutes ago to make this game 2-1 Cougars. Starts the break-in, and Joneljim gets it so far, but skips back to Timmins, who has to retrieve back and chase that puck. Sam Graves flicks it up. It skipped over the stick of Merriweather, and stepping in was Avery Johnston, but he was just about a quarter of a second too fast as the play is blown dead on an offside call. .5:17 remaining here in the third period of this very close game. Both teams have scored this period. Keegan Webb scored about 8 minutes into the third frame, followed a few minutes later by Ty Timmins. And as mentioned, that is a difference maker right now as the Bearcats get it in deep. A high, hard shot is blockered away by Landry and net. Skipped over to the corner, but holding that into the zone is Mason Holman and the Bearcats, but only for a brief second as the puck is off a stick and up and on to the other side of the glass, and we'll get a face-off back down in the Cougar zone. The Cougars really picking up their play here in the last couple of weeks. After a 3-win showing at the Monktonian tournament, 3-0 in the round robin before falling in a very close game on the wraparound. He scores! Keegan Webb catches Ryland Landry the other way. It's Webb's second of the game and second of the period. And once again, he has tied the game for the Truro Bearcats. And speaking of teams trying to keep the momentum rolling, the Bearcats won their last game on Sunday, beating the Harbor Rage. That broke a 6-game losing streak. And they're not going away without a fight here, as Keegan Webb strikes once again for Truro, this time on the wraparound, and that is a crucial goal late in this third period. It is once again tied up 2-2. The Bearcats have controlled the majority of this period, but only one person has been able to beat Ryland Landry. Has been playing a good game, a really good game actually, between the pipes for the Cougars. 4:15 remaining in this third period. Who will be the difference maker now? Keegan Webb, can he get the hat trick? He has caught fire at the right time in this hockey game. But the Cougars might have something to say about that too, as they try to get an attack of their own going up the other way. As they get clogged up right at center ice there in front of the timekeeper's bench. As that is dropped back to the defenseman Linus Braun. And the Cougars look to be getting tired out there, but they'll get some fresh legs out up on the ice. And the stretch pass the other way. There's another player that's been knocking at the door for Truro, Jacob Clow. He's had a couple of really good looks. As that puck skips there, as the failed breakout by the Cougars leads to the puck bouncing over to the Bearcats, and Truro will take it back down and over to the center ice line, but that's off a Cougar's body and down back into the corner. Trying to scramble that puck up and out of the zone is Brandon Deleski, but that bounces on back to Marty McLeod, his defenseman, as the Cougars break it out on the far side of the ice. But quickly recovering that is the Truro Bearcats as Jacob Frizzle trying to find his teammate Miller up on the other side of the ice, but instead Sam Graves will step in. It's going to be a 2-on-2 opportunity. There's Ty Timmins. He has a goal today. Timmins shoveled back down to Graves. He's alone back behind the net. It bounces in front. The shot back deep in his crease. That is a big save for Blake Butcher, as Ty Timmins was that close to scoring his second goal of the hockey game. But ready for that was Butcher, covering up at such a crucial time in this game for the Truro Bearcats. As we are just under 3 minutes remaining in regulation. Face-off to the left of Butcher. Face-off is won by the Cougars. Over to Alex Boner. He's out there with Kellen Buckley. Buckley battling in behind the net, but the Bearcats will snag that puck away. And fighting that away there is the Cougars, down to Buckley. And Buckley steps in, and he fanned on the shot. As a good stick there by Lex McKenzie, the defenseman wearing number 11 for the Bearcats, to avoid that one from going up high or otherwise anywhere else for his goaltender Blake Butcher to cover up and force the whistle on. Buckley wins the draw for the Cougars, and that is off the stick of Luke McNeil and wide. McNeil had that goal in the first period for the Joneljim Cougars. Stepping in is Cogan McCauley. The shot, he tried to go on the wide side glove on Landry, but the shot missed altogether, as that was a close partial breakaway chance there for McCauley. And he has the puck once more. He has Holman camping out in front and Ripley up in the high slot. Now Seth Lockyer has the puck. He is tag team there by the Cougars, as that is off the pad of Landry. Down in the corner, thrown by McNutt. Cogan McCauley gets it up to his teammate. Walking around is Holman. Tried to find McNutt on the far side, and he hit the bottom side of the net. And that's rolling around in the crease. As the Cougars struggled to get that out of harm's way, they finally did, but only as far as the blue line, as that is shoveled in again, as it's covered up by Landry, but he took a hefty slash there by McCauley. McCauley perhaps thought the puck was loose, trying to slam it. Landry doesn't look too happy, and a couple of his defensemen also respond in defense of their goaltender. But the face-off will come to Landry's left. 1:26 remaining here in the third period. And you can thank Keegan Webb for that scoreline. He has scored twice in this third period for the Truro Bearcats. Has been finding a way to put the puck in the back of the net. Ty Timmins responded this period for the Cougars to bring the score to where it is now, as that's off a pad. And speaking of Timmins, he was right there on the rebound but couldn't bang it in, as the puck is thrown up into the crowd here, as the Bearcats desperately needed a whistle or some relief of some sort there, as the Cougars broke right in and had to force Butcher to make a couple of big saves there to keep this game tied at 2, as we have just over a minute left here remaining in regulation hockey here in Member 2. Face-off will come to the left of the goaltender Blake Butcher. Mason Holman has to step in and take this draw for the Bearcats, and he's going to win it. Up to Keegan Webb. He has 2 today. Battled in harshly there along the boards. Ethan Marsh of the Cougars putting up a fight there. Stepping in, Sam Graves on defenseman, the captain for the Cougars team. He likes to pinch. We've seen that plenty today. 45 seconds left as the Bearcats try to clear it out, and that comes down for Keegan Webb. Webb going in one-on-one, and he is defended off by Graves, but the Cougars can't get it out cleanly just yet, as the Clow line is in there battling deep. Here comes Johnston. for the Cougars, but he blows a tire at the opposing blue line. And the Bearcats can probably get one more good chance here before the buzzer goes here to signal the end of the third period. Instead, the defenseman will just dump it in, trying to run down the clock. Now the Cougars will try out the other way. Walking in with it, here's Zenon Parks. Parks tries to go in. They got to try to get the shot off here. Goes in one-on-one. He's taken out of the play by McNutt, and Parks responds by reaching up on the opposing player as his helmet pops off. But the teams will quiet down as the buzzer rings here at the end of the third period. So this one's not quite over yet. As we will get ready to head into overtime. Very eventful game this has been today. Some great goaltending on both sides. We didn't really see either offense really pop until the third period. We had that first period goal from Luke McNeil on the deflection off the Sam Graves shot midway through the first. And it stayed 1-0 until about 7-8 minutes into the third period when Keegan Webb beat goaltender Rylan Landry in the high side to tie it up at 1. A couple minutes later, Ty Timmins responded, going high glove the other way on Blake Butcher, giving the lead back to the Joneljim Cougars 2-1. But with about 4 minutes to go here on the wraparound, Keegan Webb scoring once again to put the game to where it is at now. We're going to get some 3-on-3 overtime action here to decide the winner of this Nova Scotia Under-15 Major Hockey League game. Trey Timmins starting out there for the Joneljim Cougars. He's out there with Sam Graves and Marty McLeod, it appears, on the far side. Seth Lockyer, the defenseman, out for the Truro Bearcats to start this overtime period. Jacob Clough and Jacob Frizzle. The two Jacobs on forward for this Truro Bearcats team will begin this 3-on-3 overtime period. So both teams will come away from this one with a point, no matter what happens. But coming away with that win, given where both teams are at in the season right now, trying to overcome long skids and slumps of their own, especially the Bearcats, who are on a one-game winning streak, one can say, trying to keep the fun going here. Meanwhile, the Cougars, who are 2-2 at home this year, haven't won at home since the opening weekend of the season, would love to come away with a big one here in Membertou. The teams are going to head to the benches here as the referees hold some discussions with each of the benches. There's one ref at the scorer's table and another one over at the Truro Bearcats bench here. Shots are 31-26 in favor of the Truro Bearcats. Truro has controlled most of the play here since about the beginning of the second period. They had 3 power plays in that second period, helping build up that momentum until they finally scored a couple of goals here in the third period. As the teams finally get ready to head out there for overtime, we got some 3-on-3 action on the way. Jacob Clough taking the draw for the Truro Bearcats. Ty Timmins for the Joneljim Cougars. And Timmins will get it back to his defenseman. Clough almost took it back for Truro, but instead Sam Graves, the captain, will go for a skate. He enters the zone and tries to sidestep Clough, and he does. Spins around a couple of times there. Spins it around in front, and that is patted away by Blake Butcher and net. The teams also don't change ends in overtime, unlike in the NHL. Timmins tried to throw the puck back wide open there. It was his teammate Sam Graves, but that one was a little bouncy as the ice is starting to get rough here as the third period has elapsed since the last flood and we get into overtime. So maybe we'll see a few odd bounces here before the end of this hockey game. Lean that breakout is Marty McLeod. Up for Linus Braun. Braun is trying to go on the right wing there, battling Webb of the Bearcats. Webb has 2, and he's out there joined on that line with Frizzle. Joined by Seth Lockyer on the Bearcats as well. Lockyer tried to go for one, and that's sticked away, coming back up the other way. It was a near break for Braun and the Cougars, but he couldn't quite get around Lockyer on defense. Webb goes back to Lockyer as the Bearcats make a change. And stepping in is Seth Lockyer. It's a 2-on-1. He lets the shot go, and it's wide. Sidney Scott holds the line for the Bearcats as they get a look down the O-zone for the first time this overtime. 3:29 left on the clock. Drop back by Lockyer over to Sidney Scott. He goes all the way back to his own blue line. Lockyer's been out there since the start of overtime. He's having a tough time getting off there, it seems, as that one bounced out in front of the net. What a forecheck there by Kellen Buckley. He's joined up there by Sam Graves. Also jumping on the ice is Ethan Marsh on the change for the Cougars. Coming up the other way, there's Sidney Scott. He's joined by Webb. Scott and Webb over, wide open, the shot! Oh, coming way out of the net. What a save. An aggressive one at that by Ryland Landry. They come back the other way. Here's Zenon Parks. He has the puck, tried to step between the legs, gets the shot off, and hugging the post was the goaltender, Blake Butcher, making a save. The net was knocked off on the play, but there's no whistle thus far. And the play will finally be blown dead, as the puck appeared to have skipped high enough to catch the mesh over in the Cougars' end of the rink. 2:35 left in this 3-on-3 overtime period. It's a 2-2 hockey game as these teams here are working hard to decide a winner here. Zenon Parks taking that face-off just outside the zone there for the Cougars, and he's going to win it. He's going to curl all the way back to his own zone. Linus Braun, joined by Parks and Dixon, the defenseman, way up there on the play, going up against Miller. He's going to take that puck back for the Bearcats. Swung up the middle of the ice. Mason Holman was curling there. Tries to go in 2-on-1, but loses the puck to Braun. Holman coming in with the head of steam as the Cougars trying to maintain possession here. They had the puck on and off and on and off their stick as the Bearcats are playing relentlessly. Working that puck out of the zone was Holman. Stepping in is Lex McKenzie. McKenzie takes that puck in. Back to Holman, he sidesteps Braun. Holman trying to find a shooting lane, and that's sticked away. And it's a contention for the puck out in front of the net, very low in the slot, but it's knocked out of harm's way. Roughly 90 seconds left in this overtime period. A couple chances for each team either way, as both teams get a full change in. Braun throws it back up the other way. Now going for the skate. Here come the Cougars in close as Barry tried to get that shot in, but it's sticked off into the corner by Michaud. Barry's all over it. Gets that puck back all the way down to Graves, who's playing that point for the Cougars. Sam Graves, the captain. And he's going to walk in. Maybe some room for a shot. He'll let it go. But seeing that one all the way through and making the save is Blake Butcher, as we just dip under the final minute mark here in this overtime period. No one's been able to solve the other quite yet in this extra period. Face-off will come to the left of Blake Butcher. Kellen Buckley taking the face-off on the O-zone. And Sidney Scott for the Bearcats, but Buckley will win it for the Cougars. One back to Graves on defense. Return pass with Dylan Barry there. Graves joined by Barry, and now Barry has it. Trying to get around some good defense there by the Bearcats. Now Buckley steps in, he has some room, and tried to go 5-hole on Butcher, but he didn't give him any daylight as Mason Holman goes down the other way. He's joined by Lockyer. Lockyer steps in, the shot! Oh, what a save by Landry, a point-blank blocker save, and that he's going to keep this overtime period going with that one. And now for one last chance, 14 seconds on the clock is taken all the way back down to the other zone by Graves. Maybe one more chance there for the Bearcats, but that puck is just past the stick of Clough, is spinning off the puck. Was Braun in the back check. 1 second. Will he get the shot off? No, he will not. As with a head of steam coming back, what a back check by Keegan Webb just to make sure at the end of this overtime period. And that'll bring an end to an entertaining 3-on-3 overtime. But the stars of that overtime were, again, as have been much of this hockey game, the goaltenders. Blake Butcher with a couple of crucial stops there on the Joneljim Cougars. And who's to forget the heroics of Ryland Landry? He's made some crucial ones today all evening for the Cougars. And his latest example, that latest stop by Seth Lockyer with just under 30 seconds remaining in that overtime period. And oh my, that was a stellar one off the blocker. Landry working hard to try and get this win for the Cougars. And Butcher on the other side for the Bearcats. As both teams will prepare to head to the shootout, I believe. Although the Cougars are playing away from their regular rink here, the Emera Center Northside, North Sydney, they have drawn quite the crowd here in Member 2 this evening. Not their regular home rink, but they'll play 2 games here this weekend as the annual Christmas Craft Fair is taking up their home rink up on the north side this weekend. Today, after facing the Bearcats, the Cougars have quite the home challenge tomorrow against the league-leading Warewell Bombers of New Glasgow, who are coming off a win in Halifax today and will make the trip up to Member 2 tomorrow, long drive. And who else to take this first shot of the shootout for the Truro Bearcats other than Keegan Webb? He has scored both goals for Truro today, and he'll step in on Landry. And he had him beat on the backhand, and he knew it too, as it slipped off his stick at the last moment with Landry sliding the other way. Some obvious frustration there by Webb as he was that close to scoring that shootout goal. But now the opportunity will turn to the Joneljim Cougars. Zenon Parks. He leads this team in goals. He's 20th in the league in that category. And he'll get his shot in on Butcher. And he is towed away, the left pad of Blake Butcher. He had just enough of it out there on that close side of the net to keep Parks from scoring the first goal of this shootout. As the Bearcats will try again, the second shooter for Truro, it's Mason Holman. And turned away again, Ryland Landry. Some very impressive saves today by the young goaltender as he turns away Holman. And we're still waiting on that first goal of the shootout. Lachlan O'Neill, the second shooter for the Joneljim Cougars. He has 4 goals and 7 points this season. Let's see if he scores here. And into the breadbasket of Blake Butcher. O'Neill knew it too. He tried to perhaps go for that high blocker there as he swerved in on the right side, going back in on the left. But we're still waiting for that goal. Jacob Clough taking that shot now. He has 4 goals, 7 points this year for Truro. He scores! Beats Landry clean to the blocker side. So you know what that means. We need a goal here from Ty Timmins from the Cougars if we want to keep the shootout going. Otherwise, the Bearcats are going to come out of here with a win. Timmins, 3 goals in 10 games on the year, including a goal today. Timmins is stopped by Butcher. And a hard-fought win by the Truro Bearcats. They came into that third period down a goal and trailed again at another point in that period. They fought back both times, and they pick up a huge road win here in Member 2 today against the Joneljim Cougars. 3-2 is your final score. An excellent effort there, especially by a couple of players. Can't forget the shootout winner. Not to mention Keegan Webb. Both regulation time goals here for the Truro Bearcats as the teams line up to shake hands. Jacob Clough, the overtime winner, he had a big game and finally broke through, beating Ryland Landry, who himself had an excellent game in net, beating him block side for the lone shootout goal. And winning the game, his third win of the season, Blake Butcher stood tall. He stopped 25 shots, including everything in overtime and everything in the shootout against the Cougars' top shooters. As the Truro Bearcats are on in their northeastern Nova Scotia road trip, going to play the Novas in Antigonish tomorrow at 11:30. That'll be a challenging matchup against the third place team in this U15 Major Hockey League. Meanwhile, the Joneljim Cougars will be back here tomorrow trying to come away with at least a win here in their weekend series at home in Member 2. But that again will be a challenging matchup. The Warewell Bombers, the top team in the league, make their way into Member 2 for a 12 o'clock puck drop here, the Sunday afternoon matinee game. And we will see you here tomorrow. My name is Luke Diamond. It's been a pleasure joining you here for this exciting Nova Scotia U15 Major Hockey League game. We will see you tomorrow here on High Button Sports.